right. So,
we are on our way back from watching the G.I. Joe movie.
yes.
A lot of emotions in that movie.
Yeah, a lot of heart. A lot of heart. It's very, very patriotic movie.
Yes, it is.
I forgot how real gung ho for the Stars and Stripes they were.
Yeah.
Which I shouldn't have forgotten that because it's an American Special Missions Force. But man, there at the end, Sergeant Slaughter wrecking Nemesis Enforcer, that last hit for the good old U.S. of A.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having watched that, I mean, I already wanted them before this, but now I definitely want to see the G.I. Joe classified figures for the movie.
Yes, we want Nemesis Enforcer, we want Pythona, and we really, really want Globulus.
Yeah, at the rate it's going, he'll be like a $50 figure, but...
Or a Build-A-Figure.
Yeah, I mean, if they embrace the Build-A-Figures like the Marvel Legends do, then...
I mean, they haven't done it yet, but I can see it being done.
Then Globulus and Nemesis Enforcer can both be Build-A-Figures. Because Nemesis Enforcer's bigger, plus his wings and everything.
If I was Hasbro...
I'm not saying I want that to happen, I'm just saying...
Yeah.
You know...
With Hasbro, though, I could see a different way to take G.I. Joe Build-A-Figures.
They should be vehicles.
Yes. Yes, because it's going to be a pain to get 2-scale figures for the classified series.
Well, I've heard that this is being recorded, for the record, as a cop just drove by us, by the way. Don't worry, we're not getting pulled over. This is being recorded on Thursday, June 23rd, and from what I saw online earlier, there was someone claiming that they have heard that tomorrow Hasbro is supposed to be unveiling, likely for the HasLab series, a Hiss tank in scale with the classified figures.
Ooh, I might have to put some money towards that. I more prefer how the Joe vehicles look, but...
Well, it'll be a trial run, is the idea. So I'm assuming it's the idea.
Yes. Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
It keeps sliding down. You might need to tighten it up a little bit. Like, now you can't see anything, man.
Yeah. Minor technical difficulties here, folks.
Different equipment than what we have used for some of the past videos. The past videos were mounted here on my mirror, but it obstructed my view, so...
And with a lighter phone.
And with a lighter phone, that is a key. So I bought a dashboard mount to see how it would work. It would work if we can get it to lock in place better.
And the problem is, I don't know what I'm trying to do, and it's getting dark, so I can see less and less.
But yes, I wouldn't mind a Hiss tank in the classified size.
Yeah, that's going to be a real, I hate to say moral test, because it's not a moral decision, but a real test of my commitment to the classified line. Because right now, I'm trying to downsize some things.
For it can upsize his Joes.
Yeah, downsize the collection overall so I can buy bigger figures. So like right now, as of this recording, I have literally hundreds of 3 3/4 inch figures. like from the 80s and 90s, and then from the relaunch circa 2000-ish up through the 25th and 30th anniversary figures. Like, I have just an ungodly number of figures. Like, 50 of them are Joes, the rest are the massive Cobra army. I had convinced myself I was going to do like dioramas or something with them one day. That's probably never going to happen. So, however, if I'm unable to sell them, be prepared for future videos to be stop-motion giant battles against the Cobra Horde. So, just FYI, viewers. But anyway, so right now, like, there's a number of the figures that I have in extreme multiples. Some, 24, 36, just absurd multiples of them. And with the larger classified figures, the most I have of any of them is 3. And that's only because I found one of those 3 in a store, having pre-ordered the other 2, thinking I would never find them at retail. And I decided to go ahead and buy the 3rd one just because. And that was a Cobra bat. So I don't intend on having hordes of Cobra soldiers, just like 2, or in a few extreme cases 4, something like the Crimson Guards, probably. That would be what we get the 4 of the Cobra soldiers, because I don't want the giant army, because I'm not going to do anything with it other than display them, which I only need a couple for. So coming back around to vehicles, those vehicles are going to be gigantic.
Yeah, they will be.
So I just don't know if I'm going to have the room to put them anywhere, because the goal is to shrink.
Well,
now, if they make like the Trouble Bubble, sure.
The Trouble Bubble, the AWE Striker for the Joes.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a couple of the motorcycles, the Mirage, things like that. That would work.
They have some of the motorcycles released now.
Yeah.
I believe it's Clutch comes with one at the moment, and Duke has a re-release coming up for Tiger Force that has a repaint of that same cycle.
Yeah, so vehicles like that, the real small 1 or at most 2-man vehicles, like the Cobra Night Landing Raft or something, it's a little 2-man boat with oars and a motor on the backside. Like, that wouldn't be too big. Like I said, the Trouble Bubble, the rocket hang glider thing, the Claw, I believe it's called. For Cobra.
Yeah.
The biggest I would go would be something like the Stinger or the Vamp.
Yeah, I wouldn't go much bigger than the Vamp.
And even that, I mean, realistically, the Hiss tank isn't going to be a whole lot bigger than that, because they're a similar scale.
But you don't want to go like for the really big ones, like
I don't even think you'd want something the size of the Mauler. I mean, because even though it's just the main tank, like, it'd be huge.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to go with
forget the Tomahawk or anything like that.
Yeah, those are out of the question.
Or the Night Raven. Heck, the Night Raven would be almost as big as the old aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, the old G.I. Joe line has one of the largest toys ever designed in it. There is an aircraft carrier, the USS Flag. The actual toy for it is over 6 feet long, and came with multiple very large vehicles. I believe it came with both a Dragonfly and the Sky Striker, and of course had an exclusive figure with it.
I would not do either of those vehicles.
Yeah, no.
In classified scale either.
Neither of those, and definitely not the Flag.
Ooh,
the Flag.
You got a house.
Yeah, the Flag would be like the size of the back of a U-Haul truck or something.
Might as well just buy a U-Haul truck at that point.
Yeah.
Because it'll be about as much, and it'll actually move for you.
Right. But yeah, so the 80s and 90s G.I. Joe line, has just absurd vehicles in it. Like that one takes the cake. But there's a G.I. Joe vehicle, the General, which is like a mobile battle platform essentially, and it's like footprint on the ground. I believe it's got to be somewhere around 2 foot by 2 foot. It only goes up like one level, and then it's like flat across the top with missile launchers and machine gun turrets. In the middle,
landing pads.
The middle has a landing pad for the helicopter, which can also move to reveal the giant cannon inside. Very not safe for kids, by the way. That cannon fires plastic shells about this long, of which about this much of the front is just nothing but hardened plastic. And like, it's got enough of a thud to it that like if you get hit in the chest, you're going to notice it. So I have no idea how that passed child safety stuff back in the 90s, but it did somehow.
It was a little looser at that time, probably.
Kind of like this one Age of Apocalypse Iceman figure I had that it was a remake of the regular universe Iceman, but instead of his ice accessories being just like big kind of boxing glove looking hands, they were very sharp plastic spikes, and the one for the right hand comes to a definite like sharp point, and it's hardened plastic. Like you could definitely stab somebody with it. And yeah, I have no idea how that passed any kind of safety regulations. So yeah, it's a heck of a thing. But anyway, the larger point is vehicles in this scale would just be absurdly huge. And I mean, I don't know. This is the same company that also made a Unicron figure that takes you 2 hours to transform, and whose instructions are basically a phone book. So, and I mean, I have a Marvel Legends Sentinel that is 2.5 feet tall to make it in scale with their 6-inch figures.
You have...
And I have a Galactus figure on the way that's even taller. So
that comes with 4 6-inch figures as well?
Yeah, 4 of the Heralds. I believe, yeah, I think it's 4. It's 3 or 4. It's Nova, Org, and the Surfer for sure. And I might be forgetting one. I know it's not Firelord or Terrax, because Firelord has a new figure that's going to come out right around that same time. I'm sure that's total coincidence. And I don't think Terrax was included. And they're the more well-known of the Heralds. So... And they didn't go for the joke one of like the golden oldie or anything. It's from a What If where Aunt May becomes Galactus' herald.
That'd be great.
Oh yeah, I want them to make the figure. You know, they're finally going to make one of the Spider-Men that I do plan on buying, the Bombastic Bag Man, which is where he had to borrow a uniform from the Fantastic Four and then just used a brown paper bag to disguise his identity over his head. So, yes, that will have a figure very soon, kids. And if it's like the other Spider-Man figures, you better buy it when you see it. Because for some reason, despite being one of Marvel's headline characters, it is near impossible to find a regular Spider-Man Marvel Legends figure. The last one that came in the retro line, which is supposed to be modeled after the 90s animated series figures from Toy Biz, goes for something like $70-$80 online right now, and it's just the Spider-Man figure. There's nothing super special about it, I don't believe. I'm contemplating buying a 2-pack of Spider-Man and Spinneret, maybe. I don't know who the other character. It's Mary Jane, but I don't know what her code name was.
It's not Spinneret because that's their daughter.
Okay, then it's the other. Red and white. Anyway, the only reason I'm considering buying it is to get a regular Spider-Man figure from Marvel Legends and not pay $80 and hope that I can sell the Mary Jane figure to kind of recoup some of the cost. Nothing against Mary Jane, it's just I'd rather have her as a regular figure than weirdo superhero Mary Jane, who I have no idea what her story is. Because at least at the moment, I don't read Spider-Man comics. So, but yeah. So vehicles for that line would also be huge, since they're the same scale. Which, another little tip for those of you that don't know, the Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified figures are the same scale, and as long as they're the same body type, because they do have different body types, between male and female, but also some of the larger figures, like the Rhino, has a different body type than most of the regular figures because he stands like a full head height taller and is almost twice as wide in the chest. And, he's just an overall larger figure. Or characters like Apocalypse and the Kingpin that have larger frames. But the smaller, the quote-unquote normal size figures, their parts are relatively interchangeable. And that is how I, following some people online's version seeing it, was able to make at least one custom member of the Reavers.
There we go.
Because Skullbuster comes with an extra head to make, I believe it's Reese, but it could be McCone. But I believe it's Reese. And his body doesn't actually look a whole lot like Skullbuster's. It actually looks a whole lot like Gung Ho. So I just bought a Gung Ho figure, took his head off, put the extra head onto it, split the guns up between them, because the G.I. Joe figures come with much better guns than the Marvel Legends figures. Generally.
Yeah, generally. The earlier Joe figures, their weapons are, what's the best way to put this? Shrunk down Nerf guns. Like, they took their Nerf guns, got 3D models of them, and shrunk them down to where they fit on a 6-inch figure.
Right. Not to say that they're not to say that they're like, they don't work as Nerf guns, and they're not sold as like tiny Nerf guns.
No.
You're meant to think that they're the firearms the characters are supposed to come with.
Yes. And then you have others like Flint, who just comes with a shotgun.
Yeah. So, by the way, it occurs to me like half this conversation is going to be edited out.
Why?
Pretty sure YouTube doesn't like any of the words we just used to describe those accessories.
Bang sticks, people. Bang sticks.
Yeah, boomsticks for everybody. Mainly Flint. Because he uses the right kind of boomstick, just a different style.
But, like,
This is a pump action boomstick.
if they wanted to get the nostalgia factor, they could have just easily went with the general issued laser rifle.
Yeah, that was one thing about...
Give that to every Joe and then give them a special weapon.
Well, that was one thing about the 3 3/4 inch figures that always kind of troubled me, was in the cartoon, both sides clearly had like a stock generic weapon.
Yeah.
And like nobody came with them. Like I think a Joe figure did come with that particular rifle. I don't remember who, but I think someone did. But I don't think any of the Cobra soldiers came with the stock generic Cobra weapon. I know a lot later in the line, like way later, when I got to the anniversary figures, I believe one of the later versions of the Cobra Bat does finally come with one of those laser rifles like Cobra uses.
Well,
and that one is, if it's as long as I'm not completely mixing figures up in my mind here, that Cobra Bat also has another feature that was prevalent in the cartoons that is not on the figures. The Bat is a battle android trooper. It's a robot. AKA an excuse for the Joes to actually take out the enemy. So in the the figure itself, the design has like a kind of T silver chrome, which we're supposed to interpret to be its visual sensors. And on the figures, they're silver, but in the cartoon, it's red. And that was always a thing growing up, like, why is it silver on the figure and it's red in the cartoon? And I believe there was a version during the 40th anniversary line, part of the line, that has the red visor like it's finally supposed to, and has the generic Cobra rifle. However, it was so late in the line, like, they were not overly common. And so, good luck somehow getting enough to like arm the rest of your Cobra army with those rifles. And so far, I don't think the classified figures have them, because the Cobra soldiers don't have them.
Not yet, but there is things that exist.
Yeah, you can buy.
That nerds can take advantage of
Yes, there are,
to get them.
There are third-party options.
I was going to say like second-party options. Find the right STL file and you can 3D print it yourself.
That's a third-party option.
Second party.
No. It's
Third
not.
party would be going to another company to buy it. First party is the company selling it. Then second party's you. Third party is buying from someone else.
You're having to get it from a third party.
Yeah, but you're printing it yourself.
So, you didn't get it from Hasbro, you didn't get it from you. It's a third party. There's no... This is like when they talk about first world countries. You ever heard of a country called a second world country?
No.
Exactly. Don't ask me why that is, folks. I have no clue. There's first world and there's third world. Nothing in between, apparently. But I'm sure there's a reason somewhere in the annals of history. I don't know what it is. I'll look it up and we'll have a video about it someday. But anyway, it's still a third-party option because it's not from Hasbro. So anyway, you have that option. But yeah, no, there's not for the classifieds yet either. It's the reaction figures, the ones I'm thinking of. Those do.
Yeah.
Also, on a side note here, their reaction figures are 3 3/4 inch figures, but they have the articulation of the old Kenner Star Wars figures, which means their arms can do this. There's no elbow joint. They can't turn here at their forearm. They can't go here at the bicep. It is only the shoulder. It's only like up and down. I mean, you can go 360, but up and down. And in the same way with both legs, they can kick forward and
kick back.
I don't think they can. The Star Wars figures could. Most of them couldn't. Some of them couldn't. I think the guys like the Stormtroopers, I think could. But like the Anakin figure can't because of the robe.
Yeah.
By the way, that's Ghost Anakin from the end of Return of the Jedi, whenever I say that. Sebastian Shaw Anakin, not Hayden Christensen Anakin, pre-special edition. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Shaw at the end. That's him in the suit at the end. I'm assuming that's him in the end credits, the Ghost.
Probably.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep track of Vader. A lot of guys have played him. A couple guys didn't know it either. Well, at least one of them didn't. That's a hell of a surprise for him. Yeah, well, I mentioned it. I guess I might as well go all the way here. Movie trivia fact here, folks. In A New Hope, David Prowse is the guy inside the Darth Vader outfit. He did not know that they were redubbing his lines with James Earl Jones. He did not know this until he saw the premiere of the movie in the theater. So if you watch A New Hope, you can see that there are some scenes where Vader is still gesturing as if he's talking, not using the Force, but just talking, when he has stopped speaking already. Because David Prowse read the lines at a different speed than James Earl Jones, and there wasn't much could be done as far as like you can't just speed up the movie. It wouldn't look right. So, yeah. And then in Return of the Jedi, he got a surprise yet again when he found out he wasn't going to be the guy whenever they take off Vader's helmet at the end of the movie. That is a third actor, Sebastian Shaw, who plays him there, both like face and voice and everything. And like we were saying, I believe that is him at the end of the movie, pre-special edition shenanigans, as a ghost. Later on, a different version replaced it with Hayden Christensen. The idea being that that's when he was last a Jedi, as opposed to how he would look as an old man now that he's been redeemed. Like, there's a logic to it. I think it's a little weak, but there's a logic to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Hayden Christensen hater. It's nothing to do with that. I think he did a fine job as Anakin. So
He did all right in Jumper.
yeah. So anyway, with a little side detour there into Star Wars lore. We really could just keep talking on that topic forever, but we're not going to. Back to the G.I. Joe from the weapons issue. So there are some upcoming classified figures that are made to look like their cartoon counterparts, because there are some slight differences between the cartoon and the comic appearances of some of the characters. But I totally forgot the reaction figures.
Yeah.
The Cobra soldiers and the reaction line have the appropriate rifles, which I don't own any of them because they're nearly $20 for a 3 3/4 inch figure that has zero articulation almost. No point in buying those. I'm not going to buy new figures that have less articulation than ones I got back in the 80s. It's not going to happen. The only reason I would be for the weapons if they worked with the 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe figures from the 80s. And I don't know that they do, and I'm not going to spend $20 to find out because I'm occasionally cheap sometimes. I'll spend $350 on a 2.5 foot tall Sentinel. I'm not going to spend $20 on but that 2.5 foot tall Sentinel has like 20 joints in its hand. Okay, it has more articulation than 5 of those figures put together in its hand. 4 of those figures put together. Math totally felt different.
I have an Optimus Prime Transformer at home that has more articulation in 2 fingers than the retro figures do.
Yeah. So the one thing I will give that line is they are making a bunch of figures that never got made. There have been like the Arctic versions of several of the characters has appeared in the movie we just got done watching, which is basically them wearing a fur coat.
Yeah.
There are variants among the Cobra and G.I. Joe soldiers, both male-female variants and racial variants, so that it's not just the same figure over and over and over again. The G.I. Joe figures do include what they call the green shirts, which is basically the army, but also has like naval personnel and I believe Marines and Air Force personnel as well.
It's the people that are better than the regular military, but not yet good enough to get their own code name.
Right. So, and they also have some figures that reference the altered PSAs that you can find on YouTube. The G.I. Joe cartoon used to feature a PSA at the end of the episode. For the younger folks watching, that is a public service announcement. These would be things like, don't play with power lines that are down on the road. If you've got a basketball game, eat an apple, don't eat a candy bar. Things like that.
Don't just go in the kitchen trying to make you a hot ham and cheese sandwich with no parents around.
Right. All kinds of, useful advice that somehow they would factor in a G.I. Joe character, and somehow whoever, even in the handful that involve hey, don't talk to stranger kind of stuff, the other person wasn't a Cobra agent for some reason. I kind of get it because that's creepy real world evil creeping in maybe, but anyway, so some folks several years ago recut those with different lines, and so one involves Mutt in Junkyard, where he comes running up and Mutt, is Mutt the guy or is Junkyard the guy? Mutt's the guy, right?
Mutt's the guy, Junkyard's the dog.
Yeah, so Mutt comes running up and he's telling the kid, he's
pretty sure.
He's I'm a computer. And he's talking about stop all the downloading and just starts making garbled modem noises. So he has a figure, and on the card, instead of the G.I. Joe logo, it says I'm a computer. And under his specialties, it has the part, the soldier, the dog, but also computer specialist. And there's another one for Roadblock, which I'm not going to go into what his says. and we're hoping that the pork chop sandwiches one shows up as well eventually. Yeah, so those are, you know, it's things like that, or like they also have Transformers in that scale. They obviously don't transform, but they have like dead Optimus Prime from the movie.
Yeah.
Where it's him like with the blacked out body and his chest is open. They have him as Santa Claus for some reason. I think they had a version of Starscream with his crown from his coronation well before the other line ever did. Well, no, the other line had one, but it was in that like ridiculous scale where the figures are like this tall for some reason.
Yeah, it was the giant scale figures or whatever they call them.
Yeah, so they have in fact only very recently, like the last month or two, released a Starscream from the Transformers animated movie, where he tries to take over and tries to crown himself the new leader. So he's wearing like this gold, really gaudy crown and has a cape and everything. And then Galvatron shows up and blasts him to ash.
Saw that one in the store earlier today.
Yeah, I have one. Like, it's one of the few Transformers that I have bought, because that was one of those, like, I've been waiting like almost 40 years for them to finally make this figure. I'll buy it.
I got Hot Rod.
Yeah, there's a few others among the movie figures I'd like to get. I'm hoping that they make the Quintesson Judge, the movie accurate one. They have one, but it's got features that the movie one doesn't have that are just extra. It's just extra baloney, and it's not quite color accurate like some of like the movie figures have been. So I'm hoping that they'll make a figure of him and the what would you call the other guy? The bailiff, the tentacle arm guy.
I believe he would be the bailiff.
Yeah, I don't think that guy ever had a figure. Or if he did, it's real recent and not from the movie yet.
The one where you had the Quintesson Judge that turns into like a playset.
Yeah.
He came with that.
But it's like the larger set, right? That has like two of the shark Tacons that are out of scale.
And the one robot guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Kranix.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in that set, but like, I don't know what the scale for his figure is there.
Right,
so.
they're not. That's not the movie accurate ones. I mean, it's obviously from the movie. That's what the whole scene is from, that it depicts. But they actually have a line at the moment that are movie figures from the various movies. But the ones that are denoted 86 are from the animated movie from 86.
Yep.
As opposed to the ones from the live-action Michael Bay movies that have been coming out. And I think some of them are supposed to be cartoon accurate, but I'm not sure, because I think they're numbered like 84, which wouldn't be any of the movies. Unless it's Bumblebee, because it takes place in 84 or something. I don't know.
It might be Bumblebee, but those usually say Bumblebee on it.
Yeah, they do tell you. It's not just the number. They tell you which movie they're from. But yeah, they're nice, and I'm thinking about personally dumping most of my other Transformers. I don't have a whole lot of them to begin with, so that'll be real easy. Except for the handful that kind of means something to me as far as older ones. And just replacing them with movie versions, and then I can just stick with the ones that I feel are cool and or important. Which means I have to face the critical decision of, if I buy Wreck-Gar, do I also need to buy a generic Junkion to have in motorcycle mode for Wreck-Gar to ride around on?
And the answer to this, folks, is yes.
Yes, that's Chad's answer to everything when it comes to do I need to buy this? Not self-inflection of if he needs to buy it. If I need to buy it, the answer is yes.
Well, I'm pretty sure if I ever ask you if I should buy something, your answer is always yes as well.
I mean, maybe. But that's just because I'm older and more experienced. I'm looking out for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Uh-huh. I smell something, people, and it ain't roses.
Well, we live in farm country.
Yeah, sure, that's your excuse.
Yeah, so I despite my comments on needing space, I do actually regret not backing the Unicron HasLab thing. It would have been stupidly expensive. What was like $500-$600?
Yeah.
But that's all they made, and I don't think I think they are going to stick with their guns and not make any more of them.
But like, you put that much money into the, actually you put more than that into the BattleTech Kickstarter.
Well, that was the BattleTech Kickstarter. I mean, because of that, I have enough battle mechs to probably relive at least some of the major battles of the at least third succession war.
There's a HasLab product I regret not backing as well.
Unicron.
No, the Sky Striker.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a true to scale for the
Yeah,
three
for
and
the
a
figures.
half, for the 3.5 inch,
I think
three
Julian's
and a
back.
quarter, and it came with all sorts of accessories and like two or three figures.
The huge weapon loadout. It came with Ace, and then like some ground crew.
Yeah,
And I think it also came with stickers to make it a Cobra version and Cobra ground crew, right?
I don't know on that.
I think they did throw those in at the end. I think that's how they got it over. It hit a hump at one point. I think that's how it got over the hump. I think. I could be totally misremembering that. All I know is it did actually get funded, unlike the Rancor. But the Rancor was a mess. The Rancor should have had certain things from the get-go with it that it didn't. Like, it should have default come with the Rancor Keeper.
Yeah.
And probably a Gamorrean Guard. And probably, is it Ula? The girl that...
Ula's the Twi'lek that it ends up eating.
Twi'lek that Jabba drops down in there. I think as a default, it should have come with them.
And
then Luke is a low-level stretch goal because you know that particular Luke figure is going to be remade because it's Return of the Jedi Luke. There's nothing special about it for that particular scene. But you probably include like more skulls, more this, more that.
Eventually work up to the gate.
Yeah, I mean something. It should have been more than just, hey, here's this gigantic chunk of plastic that whenever they measured its scale, they were like, look how big it is with its arms completely stretched out. And it's like, it never does that in the movie.
Nope.
Like, yeah, that's awesome. That's huge. But like, that would be like trying to be like, oh, look how impressively huge Unicron is. Oh, by the way, his wings are like a foot long each, and we stretch them out, so he's 3 feet wide.
Yeah. And if they would have waited a little while, they could have included a certain someone in armor with a saddle.
Oh, yeah.
Which would have helped.
Yeah. But anyway, that's probably about it for now, folks, because we are nearing our destination.
By nearing, he means we're there.
Yeah. So, and Chad's going to have to take off here very quickly. So,
yep.
If you enjoyed any part of this, let us know. One of our goals with these videos is just to see what you all want to hear more about. So if there's anything in particular that tickles your fancy, let us know. Otherwise, or if there's anything you don't want to ever hear again, let us know.
Yeah. We'll try to follow that.
Yeah.
We'll
try. We'll make
we ramble a bit, so.
So anyway, this is on YouTube. You enjoyed it or not or whatever, you know what to do. There's the buttons and the comments and all the things. So adios.